Emily Hart stood outside her late father's mansion, holding a small suitcase as rain poured down her face. Her clothes were soaked, her eyes red from crying. Just yesterday, she had buried her father, the only person who ever truly cared for her. Now she stood in front of the house that once felt like home, but everything about it felt cold and distant. When the heavy door finally opened, her stepmother Vivian appeared. Vivian was a tall, elegant woman in her 40s, always dressed perfectly, but her eyes were as cold as the rain. "You're not welcome here, Emily. This is my home now," she said sharply, her voice cutting through the storm. Before Emily could speak, Vivian slammed the door in her face. The sound echoed in Emily's ears. Emily stood still, trembling. The raindrops mixed with her tears as she stared at the closed door. She couldn't believe what had just happened. This was her father's house, the place where she grew up, where she had memories of laughter and warmth. But now she was an outsider. Her heart ached. Her father had promised her she would always have a home here. But with him gone, Vivian had taken control of everything: the house, the money, and the power. Emily sat down on her suitcase, her hands shaking. She had no home, no money, and nowhere to go. The world felt like it had turned against her overnight. As thunder rolled above, her phone suddenly rang. The screen flashed with an unfamiliar number. She hesitated, then answered with a weak voice. "Hello, Miss Hart," said a calm, older man on the line. "This is Mr. Collins, your father's lawyer. You must attend the will reading tomorrow morning. There's something you need to hear." Emily's heart skipped a beat. "Something I need to hear?" she repeated softly. "Yes," he said. "Your father left specific instructions about you." The call ended, leaving her with more questions than answers. Emily looked back at the mansion, its lights glowing faintly through the rain. Vivian was inside, probably celebrating her victory. But something about the lawyer's tone stayed in Emily's mind. What had her father planned? Why did Vivian hate her so much? And what could possibly be waiting for her in that will? As she stood up and pulled her wet suitcase toward the nearest inn, a spark of determination flickered in her chest. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time since her father's death, she had a reason to hold on. Emily was her father's pride, the daughter of his first wife, Laura, who passed away when Emily was only 10 years old. Her father, Richard Hart, loved her deeply. He often said that Emily had her mother's gentle eyes and strong spirit. After Laura's death, it was just the two of them for many years. Richard worked hard to build his business empire from nothing, and Emily became his reason to keep going. Growing up, Emily admired her father more than anyone else. She would sit beside him in his office as he worked, pretending to read business papers just to feel close to him. He used to tell her, "One day, you'll run this company better than I ever could." But everything changed 3 years ago when Richard married Vivian. At first, Emily tried to be kind and understanding. She wanted her father to be happy again. But Vivian was not like her mother. She was beautiful and elegant, always dressed perfectly, but behind her charming smile was a woman who wanted control over the house, the company, and eventually, Richard himself. Vivian moved into the mansion with her daughter, Chloe, who was 19 at the time. Chloe was spoiled and arrogant, used to getting whatever she wanted. From the moment Emily met her, Chloe treated her like an outsider. She would whisper to the staff, laugh behind Emily's back, and call her the charity child. The mansion that once felt warm began to feel like a place where Emily didn't belong. Vivian slowly changed everything: the staff, the furniture, even the way Richard's time was managed. She took over his schedule, made herself part of every business meeting, and soon, Emily started to feel like a stranger in her own home. When Emily turned 20, she decided to leave for college. She told herself it was for her education, but deep down, she just couldn't bear watching Vivian take her father away. She promised herself that one day, she would make her father proud on her own terms. Years passed, and Emily stayed focused on her studies. She would call her father every weekend, and he always told her how proud he was. But over time, their calls became shorter. Sometimes Vivian would answer instead, saying Richard was busy or resting. Emily didn't question it at first, until one day she received a call that changed everything. Her father was sick. Emily dropped everything and rushed back home. But when she arrived, she found a different world. Vivian had taken complete control. She decided who could visit, what doctors could see him, and even what medicines he was given. Every time Emily tried to help, Vivian would say coldly, "You should focus on your life, dear. Your father needs peace, not stress." Emily noticed how weak her father had become. He looked pale and tired, but whenever he saw her, he smiled faintly and held her hand. "Don't worry about me, sweetheart," he whispered once. "Just promise me, you'll stay strong." Those words stayed with her. In the last few weeks before his death, Vivian barely allowed Emily to see him. When she asked the doctor questions, Vivian accused her of interfering. When Emily wanted to hire another nurse, Vivian said she was being dramatic. Every decision went through Vivian. Emily felt helpless, like she was watching her father fade away and could do nothing to stop it. When Richard finally passed, Emily felt shattered. But somewhere deep inside, she also felt that something wasn't right. Her father's illness had come so suddenly, and the way Vivian acted afterward, cold, detached, and in full control, only made her suspicions grow stronger. Still, grief kept her silent. She blamed herself for leaving for college. Maybe if she had stayed, things would have been different. Maybe her father would still be alive. After the funeral, Vivian didn't even look at her once. Chloe smirked during the service, dressed in black but looking more bored than sad. The moment the guests left, Vivian made it clear. Emily was no longer part of their family. Now, standing alone in the rain outside that mansion, Emily carried all the weight of her past: love, loss, guilt, and anger. Her father had been everything to her. And even though he was gone, she couldn't shake the feeling that the truth about his death, and about Vivian, was still hidden somewhere inside that house. At the will reading, the air in the lawyer's office felt heavy and cold. Emily sat quietly in the corner, her hands tightly clasped together. Across from her sat Vivian, dressed in an expensive black dress, her lips painted a bold red, as if she wasn't mourning but attending a business meeting. Beside her was Chloe, scrolling on her phone, smirking every few seconds. Emily could feel their confidence. They both believed they were about to inherit everything: the mansion, the company, and all of Richard Hart's wealth. Vivian leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs, her face calm and certain. She even gave Emily a pitying look, as if to say, "You don't belong here." The lawyer, Mr. Collins, cleared his throat. He was an older man with kind eyes, someone who had worked with Emily's father for many years. He adjusted his glasses and opened a thick brown envelope. The rustle of paper echoed in the silent room. "Let's begin," he said. "This is the official last will and testament of Richard Hart." Vivian smiled faintly and glanced at Chloe. Emily took a deep breath, bracing herself for whatever was coming. Mr. Collins started reading. "To my wife Vivian Hart." Vivian's smile widened. "I leave my personal jewelry collection and a small yearly allowance as a token of gratitude." The smile instantly faded from her face. Chloe stopped scrolling and looked up. Emily blinked in confusion, unsure if she had heard correctly. Mr. Collins continued, his tone steady. "To my stepdaughter, Chloe Williams, I leave a trust fund of $50,000 to support her education or personal development." Chloe gasped. "50,000? That's it," she whispered to her mother. Vivian's jaw tightened, but she didn't speak. Mr. Collins paused, then looked directly at Emily. "And to my beloved daughter, Emily Hart, I leave the entirety of my estate, Hart Holdings, the family mansion, and all remaining assets, under one condition." The room went completely silent. Vivian's face froze. Chloe's mouth hung open. Emily sat still, her heart racing. "What condition?" Vivian snapped, her voice sharp with panic. Mr. Collins read on. "Emily Hart must reside in the family home for 90 consecutive days, maintaining peace among all members of the household. If she leaves before the 90 days are complete, all assets will automatically transfer to Vivian Hart." Emily's breath caught in her throat. 90 days in that house with them. Her father must have known how hard that would be. Vivian's hands trembled slightly. "That's ridiculous," she shouted. "He must have been confused. My husband was sick. He didn't know what he was signing." Mr. Collins calmly replied. "The will was verified and witnessed according to law, Mrs. Hart. It is valid." Chloe turned to her mother, whispering angrily. "So we get nothing if she stays there?" Vivian glared at Emily. Her calm, polished face had cracked. "You think you've won something?" she said through gritted teeth. "You won't last a week in that house." Emily said nothing. Her heart was pounding, her thoughts spinning. Part of her wanted to walk out right then, to run far away from all of them. But another part of her, the part that remembered her father's voice and his trust in her, refused to back down. She looked at Mr. Collins. He really wanted me to stay there? Yes, the lawyer said softly. Your father told me this condition was important. He said it would reveal the truth one way or another. Vivian's eyes narrowed at that, but she said nothing. When the reading ended, Vivian stormed out, dragging Chloe behind her. Emily stayed behind, trying to steady her breathing. Mr. Collins handed her a small sealed envelope. Your father asked me to give this to you after the reading, he said. He said it would help you understand his decision. Emily stared at the envelope. Her name was written in her father's handwriting. Her chest tightened. As she stepped outside into the cool air, she looked up at the gray sky. 90 days. That was the challenge her father had left her. 90 days in the same house where she had been thrown out like a stranger. It felt impossible. But deep down, Emily knew her father never did anything without a reason. Maybe those 90 days were not just a test of strength. Maybe they were the key to uncovering the truth he'd left behind. Emily moves back into the mansion, trying to honor her father's last wish. The place looks the same as it always had, but it feels different now. Colder, heavier, filled with memories and tension. Every step she takes reminds her that she's walking through a home that doesn't want her anymore. Vivian greets her at the door with a fake smile. So, you actually came back, she says sweetly. But her eyes are full of anger. I hope you remember the rules of this house. Emily doesn't reply. She just nods and carries her small suitcase upstairs. But when she opens the door to her old bedroom, her heart sinks. The room is empty. No furniture, no bed, nothing. Vivian has cleared everything out. You can use the guest room in the attic, Vivian says from behind her. It's smaller, but I'm sure you don't mind. Chloe laughs as she walks by. Welcome home, sister, she says sarcastically. Emily swallows her pride. Her father wanted her here. She would stay. From the very first night, life becomes unbearable. Vivian makes sure Emily feels unwanted in every possible way. The staff who once adored Emily now avoid her. The cook tells her, Mrs. Hart said you'll be handling your own meals. The gardener pretends not to hear her greetings. It's clear, they've all been told to stay away. Emily starts making small notes in a journal her father once gave her. Every insult, every strange thing, every word Vivian says, she writes it all down. Vivian's attacks become worse each day. She accuses Emily of stealing one of her necklaces. When Emily denies it, Vivian calls the police, pretending to be heartbroken. The officers find the necklace in Emily's drawer, planted, of course. Emily's hands shake as she explains, I didn't do this. Someone put it there. The officer gives her a pitying look and leaves. Vivian smiles after they're gone. You should be careful, dear, she whispers. Wouldn't want people thinking you're losing your mind. Emily goes to her father's study for comfort, sitting in his old chair. The smell of his cologne still lingers. She runs her hand along the wooden desk and feels something strange. Beneath the desk, hidden by a panel, she finds a small metal box. It's locked. Taped to it is a note in her father's handwriting. To Emily, when the truth finds you. Her heart races. What truth? She tries to open the box, but it's sealed tight. There's no key. Later that night, as she's writing in her journal, the door creaks open. It's Grace, the old housekeeper who had worked for her father for years. Grace looks tired and nervous, glancing around before speaking. Miss Emily, she whispers, be careful. Your father discovered something before he died. He didn't trust her anymore. Emily's eyes widen. You mean Vivian? Grace nods slowly. He told me not to say anything until the right time. But he knew she was hiding something. He was scared. Before Emily can ask more, Vivian's voice echoes down the hallway. Grace, where are you? Grace quickly leaves, but her words stay in Emily's mind all night. Over the next few days, Emily begins to look closer at everything in the house. She sneaks into her father's office whenever Vivian is out. She checks his computer and finds deleted emails. Messages sent to his lawyer just weeks before his death, marked urgent. She also finds strange bank transactions, large sums of money transferred to accounts she doesn't recognize. When she asks Mr. Collins about them, he looks uneasy. Those accounts were closed after your father passed, he says. But there were some irregularities. I'll check into it. Vivian, sensing Emily's quiet investigation, becomes even crueler. She cuts off the electricity in Emily's attic room one night, pretending it's a technical issue. Chloe pours juice on Emily's clothes by accident and laughs. You should leave, Chloe taunts. You're only making it worse for yourself. But Emily doesn't leave. She begins to see their cruelty as proof that her father's condition wasn't random. He must have known something big enough to make Vivian desperate. One evening, as rain falls outside, Emily sits by the window with her journal. She flips through her notes. The missing money, Grace's warning, her father's mysterious words. Everything seems connected, but she can't yet see how. Then she remembers something her father once told her. The truth always leaves a trail. You just have to be brave enough to follow it. With renewed strength, Emily makes a plan. She'll find the key to that locked box, no matter what it takes. Over the next few days, she searches every inch of the house. She checks drawers, bookshelves, and even behind old photo frames. Finally, hidden inside one of her father's favorite books, The Art of War, she finds a small brass key taped to the last page. Her hands tremble as she holds it. Could this be the key to the box? Just as she's about to test it, footsteps echo down the hall. Vivian's voice cuts through the silence. What are you doing in here, Emily? Emily quickly hides the key in her pocket and turns around. Just remembering, Dad, she says quietly. Vivian stares at her for a long time, her eyes cold and suspicious. Be careful, dear, she says finally. Curiosity can be dangerous. When Vivian leaves, Emily exhales shakily. She knows one thing now for sure. Her father's death wasn't just an illness, and the truth locked in that metal box might finally prove it. No matter how hard Vivian tries to break her, Emily decides she will stay. 90 days. That's all she needs. 90 days to find the truth and bring justice for her father. Emily unlocks the box after another brutal confrontation with Vivian. Her hands are shaking, her eyes swollen from crying, but she refuses to give up. The key fits perfectly, and with a soft click, the metal lid opens. Inside, she finds several envelopes, a few bank papers, and a small voice recorder. Her heart pounds as she presses play. At first, there's only static. Then her father's weak but steady voice fills the room. If you're hearing this, Emily, it means Vivian betrayed me. Emily's breath catches. I trusted her. I thought she loved me. But I was wrong. She's been poisoning me slowly, making me weak so she could take control. Don't let her destroy what I built for you. You are my true heir, and my only peace. Tears fall down Emily's face as the recording ends. The truth hits her like thunder. Her father hadn't just died, he had been murdered. And Vivian was the one who did it. Before she can even think, the door bursts open. Vivian storms in, her eyes wild. What are you doing? She yells, noticing the open box. Her face drains of color when she sees the recorder in Emily's hand. You knew, Emily says softly, her voice trembling. You killed him. Vivian shakes her head, forcing a smile. You're imagining things, darling. Your father was sick. That's why he died. Emily plays the recording again, letting her father's voice echo through the room. Vivian's mask of calm disappears. She lunges forward, trying to grab the recorder, but Emily steps back. Give that to me. Vivian screams, her voice cracking. You don't understand. I understand everything now, Emily says firmly. He trusted you, and you betrayed him. You poisoned him. Vivian's eyes flash with fury. He was going to ruin everything. He was changing the will, taking everything away from me and that useless daughter of mine. Her words hang in the air. For a moment, even Vivian seems to realize what she's just confessed. But it's too late. Chloe has been standing in the doorway listening. Mom. Chloe's voice trembles. What are you saying? Vivian turns, startled. Chloe, it's not what it sounds like. But Chloe steps back, her face pale. You killed him for money. Vivian's calm disappears completely. She screams. He was going to leave us with nothing. I did what I had to do. Emily looks at her, tears in her eyes but fire in her voice. No, Vivian. You did what your greed told you to do. And now the truth is out. At that moment, Mr. Collins, the lawyer, appears behind Chloe. He had come because Emily called him earlier to discuss her father's files. Hearing the chaos, he steps in, his expression stern. "What's going on here?" he demands. Emily holds up the recorder. "Mr. Collins, please listen to this." Vivian panics. "You can't, she's lying." She rushes at Emily again, but Mr. Collins stops her. Emily presses play once more. The room fills with Richard Hart's voice, accusing Vivian of betrayal. By the time the recording ends, Vivian's face is pale and broken. She drops to her knees, crying. But her tears aren't of guilt, they're of defeat. "It was supposed to be mine," she mutters. "All of it." Chloe steps closer to Emily, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know, Emily. I swear I didn't know." Emily nods, her own heart breaking. "I believe you. You were just another victim of her lies." Vivian suddenly stands, anger flashing in her eyes again. "You think you've won? You're nothing. Without me, your father's empire would have crumbled." Emily looks her straight in the eye. "Maybe. But at least it would have been built on honesty, not murder." The police arrive soon after, called by Mr. Collins. Vivian screams and fights as they handcuff her, shouting that she's innocent. But no one believes her now. Chloe watches in silence, covering her mouth in disbelief as her mother is taken away. As the door closes behind Vivian, the mansion falls quiet. For the first time in years, the air feels lighter, though heavy with pain and truth. Emily looks around the room that once belonged to her father. The photo of him smiling on the desk catches her eye. She walks over, picks it up and whispers, "It's over, Dad. She can't hurt anyone anymore." Mr. Collins places a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Your father would be proud of you," he says softly. Emily nods, wiping her tears. "He gave me the strength to finish what he started." Chloe stands silently near the door, her eyes full of regret. "I'm sorry, Emily," she whispers. Emily looks at her kindly. "You have a chance to start over now. Don't waste it." As Chloe leaves the room, Emily takes a deep breath. The house that once felt like a prison now feels like a place of truth. The lies, the manipulation, the fear. It all ends here. Her father's voice echoes in her mind once more. "Don't let her destroy what I built for you." And she knows she won't. Vivian faces arrest after the evidence is given to the police. She screams and tries to defend herself, but no one believes her anymore. The truth is out, and her lies have finally caught up with her. Chloe, crying and shaken, packs her things and leaves the mansion. She tells Emily she never knew how evil her mother had become. For the first time, Emily sees guilt and honesty in Chloe's eyes. When the police car drives away with Vivian, the house finally feels quiet. No shouting, no lies, just peace. Emily walks through the mansion that once felt like a prison. Now it feels like freedom. She decides she won't sell it. This house is her father's memory, her battle, and her victory. Over the next few weeks, Emily works with her father's lawyer to take full control of Hart Holdings. But instead of keeping it just for profit, she changes everything. She turns the company into a foundation that helps women who have suffered from betrayal, abuse, or manipulation. Women who need a new start, just like she once did. She hires Grace, the loyal housekeeper, as her manager. Together, they fill the once cold mansion with life again. Laughter, meetings, and hope. The old study becomes Emily's new office. On her father's desk, she places a framed quote she found in his journal. "Strength isn't loud, it's surviving the silence." Each time she reads it, she smiles softly. Her father's words remind her that she didn't just survive, she rose. Emily no longer feels broken or lost. She feels strong, proud, and at peace. The story ends with Emily standing by the window of her father's mansion, sunlight streaming in. She whispers, "I kept your promise, Dad." And for the first time in years, she feels free, not just from Vivian, but from her own pain. Emily visits her father's grave on a calm morning. The wind is soft, and the sky is pale gray after a night of rain. She kneels beside the marble stone, her fingers tracing the letters of his name. For a long moment, she says nothing, just lets her quiet tears fall. She takes out the old house key from her pocket, the one she carried through all the pain and fights, and places it gently on the grave. Her voice trembles as she whispers, "I stayed, Dad. I found the truth, and I'm finally home." The words hang in the air, simple but full of peace. She wipes her tears and takes a deep breath. The heavy sadness that once lived in her chest feels lighter now. As Emily stands and walks away, sunlight slowly breaks through the clouds, warming her face. She smiles softly, not out of happiness, but out of quiet strength. The mansion, the lies, the pain, all of it led her here, to this moment of truth and peace. The camera lingers on her face as her voice is heard one last time. Sometimes losing everything is how you remember who you are. The screen fades to light, calm, redemptive, and powerful. Hey besties, Two Hearts, thanks so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next one. Sparkles.